I want to start today by telling you a story. A story about a woman named Dorothy, a 65-year-old grandmother, who, like many of us, thought she was doing okay. Dorothy had a full life, children, grandkids, the works. But something was quietly working against her, something that wasn't as obvious as a cough or rash. Her blood pressure. Dorothy had been living with high blood pressure for years. She knew about it, but it didn't really seem like an immediate problem. In fact, she felt fine most of the time, just the usual aches and pains of getting older. She loved her weekly walks with friends, enjoyed her afternoon naps, and made time for a cup of tea each evening. But over time, those little things, those daily habits, began to take a toll. And last month, Dorothy's heart simply gave out. She passed away unexpectedly, leaving her family and friends heartbroken and full of questions. The cause, we later learned, was that the years of untreated high blood pressure had silently damaged her heart and blood vessels. This wasn't a sudden event. It was a result of a number of small, seemingly harmless habits that Dorothy, and so many of us, carry on without thinking much about. And while Dorothy's story is heart-wrenching, it's also a wake-up call. If you're over 60 like Dorothy, you may be unknowingly doing things each day that could be putting your heart and health at risk. I know how easy it is to brush things off. After all, we've been around long enough to believe we know our bodies. But high blood pressure or hypertension doesn't always show symptoms until it's too late. In fact, millions of people live with high blood pressure without realizing how dangerous it can be. Today, I want to talk about 6 habits that could be raising your blood pressure, habits we all might be guilty of without realizing the consequences. And as I share these, I encourage you to think about your own daily routines. Have any of these habits crept into your life? Let's start with 2 habits that might be more common than we think, especially for those of us who have lived through decades of comfort and routine. The first habit? Not staying active enough. Now, I know it's not always easy to find energy to get up and move, especially after years of a more relaxed lifestyle. But here's the thing. Sitting too much or staying too still can slowly contribute to high blood pressure. When we don't move our bodies, our hearts aren't working as efficiently. Blood doesn't flow as well. It's like leaving a car engine idle for too long. Eventually, it starts to break down. I know a lot of folks think, I'm not young anymore. I'm not going to run marathons. And no one's asking you to. But something as simple as a walk around the block, a gentle stretch, or even dancing to your favorite song in the living room. These little things can help. Movement helps lower your blood pressure naturally by improving blood flow and strengthening your heart. And trust me, it doesn't have to be a huge commitment. Even just 10 minutes of movement every day can make a big difference over time. So, the question I have for you today is, when was the last time you went for a walk just to get your heart moving? Think back. Could you make a little time each day, even if it's just for a few minutes? Next up, let's talk about eating too much sodium. Now, I know salt has a way of sneaking into our diets. It's in processed foods, canned soups, and even some of those convenient snacks we reach for. And we're often told that a little salt never hurt anyone. But here's the thing. When we get older, our bodies become more sensitive to sodium. Too much can lead to your body holding on to extra fluid, and that puts strain on your heart and blood vessels. Think about your meals this week. Did you notice how much salt you might have added to your food without even thinking about it? Maybe it's in the canned beans you had for lunch, or the pre-packaged salad dressing you used last night. It's easy to forget that sodium is lurking in places we don't always consider. And yes, I know that cutting back on salt might seem like a sacrifice at first, but it's all about finding alternatives. Fresh herbs, lemon vinegar. These are great ways to season your food without the salt shaker. Little changes like this can have a big impact on your blood pressure. Now, I know many of us have had salt in our diets for decades, but it's never too late to start making small shifts toward healthier choices. The next time you sit down for a meal, ask yourself, could I cut back on the salt just a bit? Another one of these habits is stress. Specifically, how we manage, or sometimes don't manage, stress. I know that's a big word, stress, and it's something we all deal with, whether it's worries about family, finances, or just the small challenges of everyday life. Stress is part of the package deal of getting older. But here's the thing. When we're constantly under stress, it can lead to higher blood pressure. Stress causes our bodies to release hormones that make our heart pump faster and our blood vessels tighten. If this goes on for too long, it can take a toll on our heart health. I know a lot of us have learned to just push through when things are tough. It's easy to fall into that mindset, especially when you spend a lifetime handling tough situations. But let me ask you something. When was the last time you really took a moment to breathe and unwind? Maybe you've gotten into the habit of powering through, but it might be time to make space for calm. Even something as simple as taking 5 minutes in the morning or evening to breathe deeply, focus on the present, or do something that brings you joy can help reduce stress and, by extension, lower your blood pressure. Take my friend Eleanor, for instance. Eleanor's always been the one to help everyone else, running around making sure everyone's okay. But one day, her daughter noticed she looked unusually tired. When they checked her blood pressure, it was dangerously high. It turns out the constant stress of caring for everyone else had caught up with Eleanor. She didn't realize how much of an impact it was having on her. Now, Eleanor makes sure to take time for herself every day, even if it's just for a cup of tea and a quiet moment by the window. Those few minutes of peace have made a world of difference. So, think about it. Could you carve out some moments in your day just for you? You deserve it. Even 5 minutes can be a game changer. And while you're thinking about it, I want to ask, how often do you feel stressed? And what's your usual way of handling it? If you feel comfortable, share your thoughts in the comments. We're all in this together. The next habit I want to touch on is something that many of us don't think about enough: sleep, or rather, not getting enough of it. As we age, we often find that we don't sleep as deeply or as soundly as we used to. But here's the thing. Getting quality sleep is one of the most important things you can do for your heart. When we don't sleep enough, our bodies are under more stress, and this can increase our blood pressure. It's not just about the number of hours, though. How well we sleep is just as important. Poor sleep means your body doesn't have the time it needs to rest and recover. Maybe you've noticed that as you get older, it's harder to fall asleep. You lie there, watching the clock tick by, wondering why sleep feels so elusive now. I hear this from so many people, whether it's because of aches and pains or just a racing mind. Falling asleep isn't as easy as it used to be, but I promise you, there are things you can do to improve your sleep quality. It starts with small changes like having a calming bedtime routine. Maybe you can try drinking a cup of chamomile tea, reading a book, or listening to soft music before bed. Avoiding big meals or too much caffeine in the evening can also help. And of course, limiting screen time before bed, those bright phones and TVs, can give your mind a chance to wind down naturally. I want to share a quick story about my friend David. David's in his early 70s, and for years, he struggled with insomnia. He was always exhausted during the day, which made everything harder. But when he finally took steps to create a better sleep environment, darken his room, cut down on caffeine, and started a bedtime routine, his sleep improved. And with that improvement, his blood pressure started to drop. It wasn't instant, but over time, those changes made a big difference. And now, David says he feels like a new person. Think about your own sleep habits. Could you make a change tonight to help improve the quality of your rest? What's one small thing you could do to make sure you're getting the rest you deserve? Leave me a comment below and let's talk about it. I'd love to hear how you're tackling sleep these days. So, we've talked about managing stress and improving your sleep. Both are vital for keeping your blood pressure in check. And while these may seem like simple things, when you add them up with the other habits we're talking about, you start to see how small changes can have a big impact. Now, I want you to think about something. We've been chatting about these habits for a while, and I know it might feel overwhelming at times. But remember, you don't have to change everything all at once. Small steps make a huge difference over time. So take a moment to breathe, relax, and think about one thing you can do today to help lower your blood pressure. You've got this. And before we move on, I want to ask, have you noticed any changes in your sleep patterns lately? Do you find it harder to unwind at night? Let's talk in the comments. This is all about learning from each other. So far we discussed how staying active, managing stress, eating less sodium, and improving your sleep can all work together to keep your blood pressure healthy. But there's still a couple of habits that we need to touch on. Habits that you might not think of as linked to your heart health. But believe me, they're just as important. Let's dive into one more. Not drinking enough water. Yes, you heard me right. Dehydration can actually cause your blood pressure to rise. Water is vital for keeping your body systems running smoothly. When you're dehydrated, your blood becomes thicker, making it harder for your heart to pump effectively. This increases the risk of high blood pressure. Now, I know a lot of people think they're drinking enough water, but if you're like many seniors, you might not feel thirsty as often as you did when you were younger. So, we tend to forget about it or just go without. But keeping hydrated helps your body maintain a healthy blood volume, which in turn helps regulate your blood pressure. I want you to take a moment and think about your own hydration habits. Are you drinking enough water each day? Or maybe you've gotten into the routine of having coffee or juice instead, which doesn't quite do the same thing. One simple change you could make is to keep a water bottle near you, so it's easy to take a sip throughout the day. If you're someone who tends to forget, try setting a timer on your phone to remind you every few hours. Think about my friend Linda. She's in her late 60s, and for the longest time, she'd only drink coffee and the occasional glass of wine. One day, she started feeling sluggish and weak, and after a quick checkup, her doctor said her blood pressure was on the rise, partly due to dehydration. Linda made a habit to drink more water every day, and within a few weeks, she felt more energized and less stressed. Hydration is such a simple yet powerful way to help your heart. So, let me ask you, how often do you find yourself reaching for a drink? Could you swap out one of those drinks for water today? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Finally, let's talk about not keeping up with regular doctor visits. Now, I know a lot of people, especially those of us who are older, might feel like going to the doctor is a hassle. But regular checkups are one of the best ways to monitor your blood pressure and catch any problems before they become serious. High blood pressure often doesn't show symptoms until it's too late. So, if you're not getting your blood pressure checked regularly, you could be missing out on an opportunity to make adjustments before things get worse. It's easy to let time pass between visits. But think about your health, your future, and the people who care about you. Wouldn't it be worth it to take a few hours every year to check in with your doctor? I know it's not always the most fun thing to do, but it's one of the best gifts you can give yourself. And if you're already seeing your doctor, make sure they're checking your blood pressure and asking about your heart health. My friend Tom used to avoid going to the doctor. He'd been living with high blood pressure for years, but it wasn't until he had a checkup and his doctor caught it that he realized how bad things had gotten. Now, Tom goes every year without fail. He says it's given him peace of mind knowing that he's staying on top of his health. So how about you? When was the last time you had a full checkup? If it's been a while, maybe now is the perfect time to schedule an appointment. Take a moment and think about it. Your heart and health deserve that attention. Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with this. No matter how old we are, we always have the power to make choices that improve our health. We can start with small, simple changes, like moving more, cutting back on salt, hydrating, managing stress, getting better sleep, and staying connected to our doctors. These small steps, over time, can make a huge difference. It's never too late to take charge of your health. And I want you to know you're not alone in this journey. So, if you've ever worried about your blood pressure or made a habit out of any of these things, I want to hear from you. Share your story, your tips, and even your struggles in the comments below. Let's support one another. And if you're feeling inspired, take one small step today toward better health. Maybe it's drinking that extra glass of water, or maybe it's calling your doctor to set up a checkup. Whatever it is, I believe in you. You've got this. Thank you so much for joining me today. Remember, your health is in your hands. And with every small change, you're moving closer to a healthier, happier future. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.